Hello, everybody. We are going live, hopefully, into Facebook and YouTube. Give us 1 second. Sorry, no, that's LinkedIn and YouTube. And now we're going to go into Facebook. 1 sec. Awesome, awesome. Leah, we're cooking with gas. I do believe.
I love that phrase. We're cooking with gas.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first live speaker training, guest speaker training of the new season. I hope everybody had a wonderful, wonderful summer. We are diving back. I have with me today Lia Dunlap, who is an intuitive business coach. But Leah will tell us more about that. And I thought that her topic that she's going to speak to us today, how to stop shiny object syndrome so that you can live the life you were meant to live, would be an amazing way to kick off this new, September's like January. So this is your mid-year chance to hit reset, start all over again. So Leah, thank you so much for coming to speak to us today. Thrilled to have you talk to our community. Let us know what is it that you love to do? What is your purpose?
Oh, thank you so much. And thanks for having me here, Tracy. I'm so excited to be here with all of you. My purpose is just that. Many years ago, I found out that my purpose is to help other people find and follow their purpose. With my intuitive gift, I can actually see what people are meant to do. And that's the big why that people have is always on their shoulder. So that was what I found over 30 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since in different ways. But these are really important pieces of the puzzle of how to get out of that shiny object trap where you're just
Right.
missing a lot of things. So yeah, I'm really excited about this subject because it really is big and near and dear to my heart for all.
Perfect. Okay, well, before we dive in, let me just do a double check, take check. That's
Yes.
right, did I take check? If you're watching us on Facebook or on LinkedIn, please pop a hi in the comments and let us know where you're watching us from, because I don't want anybody to miss out on a thing that Leah is saying. So we want to make sure, yes, I see us in Facebook, and let's make sure that we are over on LinkedIn. And then, yeah, all going beautifully. So say hi in the comments. Let us know that you are watching us. And if you're watching on the replay as well, let us know where you're watching us and where you're watching us from. And I am going to spotlight you, Leah. Just going to go back into the backdrop a bit here and check the comments. I am going to be checking the comments in the Facebook group, which is the Professional Woman 40 Plus Getting Egg Free Facebook group, right? If you're there, that is where I'm going to be checking the comments and the questions. And if there's anything relevant, can I shout out the question, Leah?
Oh, yes. I think that, for everyone that's listening or watching as they're coming on, if you have ever felt like you have so many balls in the air, you don't know what to focus on, then you might be suffering from that shiny object syndrome. So, let us know. Say, yeah, shiny object, and we'll know that you are in the right place and listening to the right talk. And we'll make sure that we can speak to that as we go forward.
Amazing. Okay, so you're spotlighted. I'm in the background now, checking the comments.
Hey, everyone. Oh my gosh. Thanks, Tracy, so much. For those of you who are watching from LinkedIn, I would love for you to make sure that you have, I know you guys are very probably maybe at work. Don't tell your boss. It's okay. Or maybe at your desk. So if you have a pen and paper, great. Get it, because you might be taking some great notes. And if you are with us on Facebook and you've got a pen and paper, let us know, because we want you to get something out of this. I know Tracy's really excited about sharing knowledge with you. I love that she has a holistic approach with how she does her work and really wants people to be aligned. And that is part of the reason that she and I kind of kicked it off together was, yes, it's all about alignment. If you're out of alignment, whether that's spiritually, physically, or mentally, things are not going to go so great for you. So that's another reason that we wanted to do this quick talk with you. So if you feel like you have definitely stretched your limit, or you're feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, or even if you feel like you have so many things going on, you're just exhausted. I know how that works. I was there many years ago. So I'm going to jump right in as Tracy's managing the background. Tracy, let me know if there's any questions as we go along, because I'm happy to stop and answer as we go. But I want to jump in and just get started so we honor your time and ours. We're going to talk, if you haven't figured it out already, we're going to be talking about that shiny object syndrome. So how do we stop it? How do we stop shiny object syndrome, and why? Well, my point for everyone to know is this. If you are chasing shiny objects, you are not living the limitless life that you were born to live. All right? We are meant as individuals, as beings on this planet, to create and grow and make things with our lives, right? And when we get stuck in that shiny object syndrome, we often feel like we're running on a treadmill and we can't get off. And if you've ever felt like, oh my gosh, I just don't know how to put all these pieces together, how I can actually get where I want to go without completely exhausting myself, right? And I know for a lot of women that are in this group, probably women over 40 and women that I've worked with myself, that that's what it can feel like. You know, maybe you're a mom, or you're working two jobs, you're working a job and you're doing a side hustle, or perhaps you have a lot of family, or you're in that sandwich generation, and there are just more and more responsibilities put onto you than any normal person should be up to. So here's what we're going to talk about. Why do we care? What is the problem with having shiny object syndrome? Maybe you feel like a superwoman. Maybe that's probably how it comes across at first. But the reality is, shiny object syndrome leads to burnout and exhaustion. At some point down the line, you will have to give up, right? There's the system that you are existing in, the body you're existing in, the mental space you're existing in can only take so much. And so even if you feel like you've got it all together right now, and you haven't been doing it for very long, I promise you, over the 30 years that I've been doing this work, the thing that I found is, more often than not, secretly, right, people have struggled with feeling like they're not enough because they're chasing all these shiny objects, right? Like they just can't make it all work. And so it's important because you're meant to do something in your life. I believe that wholeheartedly. There was a 1 in 400 quadrillion, that's quadrillion with a Q. There's a 1 in 400 quadrillion chance of you being here, of you existing as the you are, with all your talents, all your quirks, all your specialities, all your experience, the exact person you are. 1 in 400 quadrillion, that is not an accident. And so I like to remind people, like, think about that. When you look at your day, like, there is something you are meant to do. That's why you're here. But when we have all of these distractions, we can't really hear and can't really attune or align ourselves with that. So that's another reason that it's a problem. Of course, if you have so much on your plate, which many women I know over 40 do, we don't feel like we can stop long enough to even look at what we're meant to be doing, right? We don't even have time to plan for it, let alone like decide what it is. And then if you are a person who's been doing this for a while, one of the things that I find for my clients is that they go through this problem of feeling like they doubt themselves, right? They can be, I've had doctors, luxury real estate agents, a lot of different kinds of clients. And this always amazes me. They're talented, they're smart, they've built something with their lives, they're founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and still they doubt themselves, right? And that comes from this idea that there's just so much to be done that they're not getting it done. And that's another problem with chasing things outside of ourselves, those little shiny objects. Of course, if you don't move forward, the worst part is you end up feeling regret because you haven't finished all these projects, because you haven't made it to whatever that land of the best that you think you can have is. And if you are one of the people on this call who has tried so many things to get themselves back on track that you don't even believe it's possible to have a purpose, to really have something that lights you up, that you aren't feeling excited and fulfilled in your life, it's just not possible, right? So if that is you and you're listening to us now, or you're watching the replay, I want you to think about that for just a second and say, yeah, do you believe it's possible? And if you do, if you're like, I know it's possible, I just don't know how to get there, just put believe in the chat, okay? Put believe in the chat if you're like, I believe it's possible. I'm just not sure how to do it. Because I'll tell you what, you're not alone, okay? I have been doing this work, like I said, for 30 years. My name, as Tracy said, is Lia Dunlap. I'm known as the Oracle on purpose. And the reason I have that nomenclature is because when I was younger, I found out that I intuitively could know things about people. And I'm saying younger, like as a young child. And as I grew older, I utilized that gift to help people out. It just became very natural for me to answer questions for people, to help guide them to what they needed to do next. And so as I grew older, it felt less and less, and let me know if this is you, it felt less and less like something people would appreciate, because it felt like a strange gift, right? Even though I knew it was natural to me, I started to feel like it wasn't professional. It wasn't worthy of being part of what a good, responsible person growing up would do. And so I felt this pull in my life between my family and their needs for me to be successful, to get a job, to go to school, to do all those things, and this true desire inside of me to help and serve people with that gift. And for a long time, the first gave out, right? In other words, for a long time, I spent my life in the corporate world wearing a mask, learning all of the technology for sales, marketing, operations. And I did really well. And that almost made it worse. Because I was doing so well, that part of me that I wasn't really honoring was suffering. And I didn't get the chance to really explore who the whole part of who I was, the whole full person that I was. And so for a very long time, I went along that path, trying to make everybody else happy, to be the person people thought I should be. And if that sounds familiar, let us know, because being the person you think other people tell you you should be only works if it happens to be aligned with who you really are. So fast forward many years, and I had what I like to call a 2x4 moment. I was working at my corporate job. I had to rush back across state lines to get to work and check out for the day. And as I was rushing there, I started to have a pain in my neck and my shoulder, and it went down my arm. And I was stuck in traffic, back to back traffic. And I sat there sweating profusely. And I couldn't think of anything but getting to work so that I could check in with my boss so that he could let me go home. So after many long, excruciating minutes to get there, like, I mean, I think probably usually then it was like half an hour in that traffic. I got to the front of his desk, his big open glass cubicle office, and I stood there. And when he looked at me, he got shocked and he said, "What's going on?" I said, "I think I'm having a heart attack. I think I'm having a heart attack. I'm standing in my office telling my boss, can I please go home?" And he's like, "Get out of here." So I drove myself home. I drove myself home so that I could go to the doctors. And that was my wake-up call. That was when I knew this was not right, that I didn't have to give up who I really was to work in a field and in a way that was out of alignment. And so after I took care of myself and got recuperated, I was very fortunate to look at my life and say, enough. And I stopped chasing everybody else's version of what my life should look like. And when I did that, I started to work with clients in a more aligned way. I took all of my skills, all of my resources, and my gift, and I combined them together to help people as an intuitive business architect, which means I use my gift of insight as the oracle to help them create happier, more fulfilling lives for themselves. And as you can see in these pictures, I have helped clients all over the world. We've traveled all over the world. We've done exciting things together because I want them to feel in love with their life and not like they're chasing somebody else's version of what it is to be successful and happy and alive. So that's a little bit about me and why I'm so passionate about this. But let's talk a little bit more about the good news. The good news is you can stop shiny object syndrome. What you'll have to do, and when you do, excuse me, you're going to see for yourself that you'll have the freedom to travel and enjoy your life. You'll have the clarity to combine your gifts and your talents at work. You'll have the confidence to show up fully in all areas of your life. You will be there, right? Be here now. You, the whole you, will be present in your life. You'll have the inspiration to take action on your dreams. You'll have fulfillment of knowing you are making the difference you were born to make. And I'll tell you what, that last thing, so many of my clients, they are at the level in their business where they're either CEOs or founders, and they've reached a certain level of success, and they still feel hollow inside. And one of the first things I peek around when I'm looking at that is like, what is it you think you're meant to be doing? What is that thing that you were born to create in the world? And when we look at it and we find out what it is, and I'll, tell you a little bit more later about how we can do that. There's this relief, there's this sigh from them of like being honored for who they are, but also finding a way to incorporate that into their work and their life. And that is the good news, because that is really ideally what alignment is all about.
Beautiful. And maybe people who are watching, maybe they can let us know in the comments what they believe right now, what their purpose is, who they want to be, how they want to show up in the world.
Yes, definitely. Let us know what is that thing that you feel like if you could just do anything. If you could just do anything, right. We can wave our magic wand. Tracy and I have got our magic wands out. What would you do? What would you do? What would it look like?
And I know that so well, right? Because here I am, right? I wrote the Reshape Method. I'm a movement and alignment coach. I love helping people all over the world. But this is a second career for me. For 25 years, I sat behind my desk editing academic journals. Right. All by myself. And I was like, no, but I didn't know what I wanted to be. And yeah, which is why let me let you continue, because
I think
this work found me.
Yes.
At the same time I was calling to it. I wasn't sure what I was calling for or to.
Yes.
I didn't have this of like, I want to create the Reshape Method. I had no idea about any of this stuff, right? When I was in my 30s.
Yes.
And I knew I wanted to do something else. I knew I wasn't living my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me.
I thank you so much, because it's such a great segue, and also it's a great point. I love to tell people, like, remember, like, I don't know, and I like to tell them, look, I promise you, your purpose is leaving clues all over the place, right? And it's like you don't have the aperture open to look at it, right? Until something kind of jogs you. And for me, like I said, it was that 2x4 moment, but everybody's 2x4 moment is different. Right. I'm sure that when you left, and you took that leap to make the change, something inside of you was like building up to a place where it's like, okay, that's it. Let's do this. Yeah. Right. And it's not, and I love that you say that, like it can be a complete change in direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what happened to me is that I was struggling with these aches and pains in my body in my mid-40s. I was like, how can this be happening to me? I've been doing yoga since I was 15. Since before Sting and Madonna made it popular, right? I was working part-time as a personal trainer. I thought I was ticking off all the boxes. How could the bladder leaking and the weight gain and the fatigue and the hip ache? The hip ache was so bad that one year I didn't even want to get on the airplane and go and visit my dad in South Africa, because I knew how sore and I was like, and the doctors were telling me everything's fine. This is just part of growing older. Suck it up, take the pain meds. But there was this part of me, and in retrospect, I see this intuitive part of me that was saying, everything that people are saying to me is not true. There is another way, and I just kept myself open to it.
Yes.
As they say, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. But I was open to seeing it and finding it. So, all right, let me hand over to you.
Yes, yes. Okay, so great. So I love that, Tracy. And here's the thing about that. Let me go back to this really quickly. Is that what you're just talking about, which is beautiful, and it is how our bodies and our minds. I mean, we could have a whole nother thing about. We have a whole nother talk about that our bodies and our minds are working together. They have to, first of all. I mean, like just logically. But when we become more attuned to that, then we notice and recognize those shifts. And you're right. What people don't understand sometimes is like everybody's intuitive. Like we all have our own intuition, and we're not necessarily versed in how to work with that intuition or notice it or recognize it or see it when it comes for what it is. And so, yes, we can, as you were just saying, we can need a hard nudge. And when we are in our system and we are in our body and our body makes us pay attention. It makes us pay attention. Like, I love it. Pain is just a signal that you need to change something, right? Even in our body. I totally agree with that. So yeah, here's what you're going to need to give up. This is the bad news. If this is you, and I think this kind of goes along with what we're just saying. The things you're going to need to give up are things you're doing now, which is copying other people's versions of success. If you look outside of yourself and you say that person's success was, I'm going to do what they do without any alignment, you are going to find yourself, in quicksand, focusing on the things you don't want. And I think to your point, when we look at our body, so often clients that I work with as well, it's like their only thought is what's wrong. They don't even have necessarily an idea or a vision of what healthy or whole or satisfied looks like. And so that can be a problem as well. And then saying yes to everything. I think across the board, most women are kind of raised that way. Like, just be nice, be polite, say yes, you can do it, you'll figure it out. And we have to stop that. We have to give that up. And with that comes putting everyone else's needs first. Right? If we're like trying to take care of ourselves, trying to take care of our bodies, we have to put that as a priority. We have to choose to do that. And if we're not doing that, that's something to stop. And then this last piece, I think is important. When we look at what we're doing with our lives and what we're chasing and trying to get to, we are not honoring the present. We're not honoring ourselves now. We're usually repeating old stories of what used to be, or we're leaning on excuses of the reasons we can't make changes. And in that state, we are not changing. We're not moving forward at all. So that's something you have to look at if you're someone who's in the process of doing this and you're choosing to clearly, if you're here with Tracy's group, I know that you're looking at transforming at least your body, but it is a holistic system. So to me, it's like if you're choosing that, these are the things you're going to have to give up so that you can really fully embrace the changes you want to see. And if you don't stop this, here are some things that can happen. You're going to spend a lot more time and money trying to make all the tools and resources you've accumulated work together. So here's a question I want to ask people. If you have a bucket full of tools in your email box, right, that you have downloaded or on your computer, and you still haven't even opened them, right? If you're the person who is like constantly taking on new tools, resources, classes, maybe getting another something behind your name, another, three initials behind your name. If you're that kind of a person and that's where you're at, just let us know. Like tools, like yes, you love tools, you're going to get a new tool because there's something that says too. And the other thing is, if you are not aligned with not only your purpose, as Tracy was saying, you're like completely in the wrong direction of what you're meant to be doing, you are going to miss out on the opportunities that are for you, right? And the opportunities that are for you are made to be there to support what your purpose is. So whatever that nudge is inside of you, it kind of has a magnetizing effect to the universe. And if you're on purpose and you're aligned, then you start to get opportunities that help you to make that possible. And if you're distracted with a lot of different things and different ways of being in your life, you may not hear it, right? We're just talking about you won't be intuitive enough to catch it when it comes. And that can be a challenge too. This next one is important for me as an intuitive. I'm also a very spiritual person. I consider myself, some of my clients do, as a spiritual guide for them of like, what does it mean to be connected to your version of source? So whatever that is, if it's God, if it's the universe, if it's, whatever, spirit, doesn't matter. But to be connected is to listen to that intuition. They come from the same source. And if you're not connected, then you can feel lost and making decisions becomes more challenging, confident decisions. And then, of course, as we talked about in the very beginning, you become stressed, overwhelmed, and exhausted. And it's that kind of exhaustion that even sleep won't help. So keep that in mind. If you're a person who has been feeling like you just can't get enough sleep, or that no matter how much sleep you have, you're just so tired, that's a sign, right? That's a sign that you're not aligned because you're not meant to live this way. If you think of yourself as a little child, if you had a, decent childhood at any time, at any point in your life as a child where you were just purely happy to be, purely happy to be, that energy is kind of the true essence of who we are meant to be. That's what living a limitless life is about. Finding your way back to that space of enjoying your life and not chasing all these little visions of what someone else's story might be. So what does it look like? What if you could? Well, like I said, you would be in that state of being connected to source, whatever you call that. You would be working on something and creating something that really lit you up, even something that you might be passionate about. And as Tracy was saying, with her own journey, health journey, you could be finding a solution, not just for yourself, that you could share with others. And so many people that I work with say, I want to make a difference. I know I'm meant to make a difference, right? And so those people can take that skill, that talent, that gift, that inspiration, and create something that doesn't only solve their own problem, but helps solve other problems. And I know Tracy's been great at sharing her knowledge and sharing the passion she has for people to be healthy and be in alignment with their bodies and be strong and healthy. Um, you know, here are some things that I help my clients do to do this. We help them find their business sweet spot, which means find the fulfillment in their career and life choices together. You can create your own power plan so you can confidently set goals and achieve them swiftly because they're aligned with who you are. And of course, if you're looking for that connection, I offer my clients to sit with me as the oracle, get insight and alignment so that they can really find and navigate their own path to personal and professional growth, right? Not feel so alone, so disconnected. And as Tracy did herself, you can take a leap of faith. You can know for yourself that, oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to be all of who I'm meant to be. And I'm going to get out there and make that purposeful impact with the work that's mine to do. So if that sounds fascinating or exciting, or even just a little bit hopeful for you, I would love for you to just take a sec, take a breath, and let me know, what would it be like? Think about it. What would it be like for you? What does your limitless life include? Is it travel? Is it time with your family? Is it movement in your body that you can do and go anywhere you'd like? Is it sharing something with the world? Is it like speaking or teaching or coaching? What is it? What is that one thing that just pops into your mind? If you're here and following us now, I'd love for you to just share, even on the replay, what is that thing that would make your life limitless? I want to just see if Tracy, I know that you're working on this great new program. You're sharing with so many people. You have such great skills and talents. What is one of the things, if you could, I'm going to stop the share for a second. What is one of the things that when you moved from your old job to this new adventure that you have now looked at and said, wow, I'm actually able to X? What is X for you, do you think?
Oh, that's an easy one.
Good, I'm glad.
When I was working on an edit, I'm like, I'm putting all this time and effort and energy into this work. Is anybody even reading it? Right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's nothing more like kind of that Sisyphean effect, right? That you're rolling a boulder uphill, that you're doing all this work, that you're putting out all this effort, and that it's really not making much difference in the world, can really get you down. But now I know, I've been working as a movement coach since 2017. The Reshape Method, which is my program now, has been helping women to get ache-free and in shape and age audaciously for over 3 years now. And I know on a daily basis, my Reshape Method members tell me how life-changing the program is. And we do need to feel, I believe, right, that what we're doing, all the energy we're putting out, is making a difference in other people's lives and in the world. I think just at the most basic level. I don't know. How's that answer?
Oh, that's a perfect answer. And it's so true. Like that, when people say, like, I'm not fulfilled, right?
Yeah.
It's like, that's it. You like, thank you. Like, we didn't practice this, I promise you, because that was the perfect answer, which is at the bottom of it all. We do want to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
We are meant to. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like fulfillment, we are all seeking fulfillment.
Yeah.
And I believe, as you were saying, I believe there's a reason for that. I believe it's as natural as breathing. We were meant to be fulfilled. And we can forget that, right? We can kind of get, like I said, when we're in this shiny object syndrome, where we're just like glomming for things outside of us, we can forget that we are meant to be here, that you are enough, that you have something in you that is yours to give and share and create in the world. And if you can come back to that, then it is easier to breathe through some of the stuff and also make those choices towards that end. Right. So thank you, because that's a really great thing. And I love that you're saying, like, this, even as you were speaking, like, knowing that what you do changes lives. I just want people to hear that. This may be a different way for people to be trained, but I just want you to hear it. You, Tracy Sider, are changing people's lives because you said yes to this thing that is yours to do.
Yeah. How
many lives will be changed? And it's not, it's challenging for people because they want the number, right? We're so used to, like, where's the goal? Where's the line? And I like to tell people, like, look, what if you never know? What if you, like, because I'll tell you this, if we look back at people that we consider icons of the era, like even a Steve Jobs, who's now passed on, will never know how many lives he changed, right, even though he was aware of what a difference he was making, right? Because we have to start to understand that all of our impacts, that ripple effect, right, that happens by changing one life is magnificent. Yeah. But as you're actively every day engaging in the work that you're doing, not only are you changing the lives of the people that are working with your Reshape method, but you're changing the lives of the people who are part of their circle. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's pretty fantastic. Yeah. So people say, why does it matter? What's this? Like, limitless life is not about the fruit. It really is. It's about standing in your own impact. And so many people understand that, right? It's the fulfillment of your essence of who you are. How exciting is that? How much better does it get? Right. And expressing who you are, expressing your talents in a way that impacts and improves other people's lives. I think this is an aspect of humanity that's really underlooked. And I mean, undervalued, is that we all really just want to be helping each other. And I mean, I've had clients say to me this week alone on private calls and in our group coaching calls that they're feeling empowered, that they're feeling confident, that they're feeling strong, that they're feeling in control of their bodies and in control of their lives. And for me, that is my dream come true. I love it. And it's so true. it's such a great blessing when we do that work. We are really making the impact we're meant to make. And that's the whole thing. And that's another reason, like, as we look at like shiny object syndrome and like the idea of like always chasing, that we are losing the chance, right? We're letting go of time. If we want to look at kind of the downside of it, we're missing the opportunity to help even more people and to be in that space of having that impact that we're wanting. Like we're going the opposite direction of what we very much. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
so
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Alla is saying in the comments, you, Tracy Sider, are changing my life for sure. Thank you, Alla. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. It's so nice.
So what are some like practical steps that you would suggest people take moving forward to find their purpose?
Yeah, let's talk about that because that's important, right? So what we want to talk about.
My name is Dr. Eva Blake, and I'm a naturopathic doctor.
We don't need to have that. We just talked about that. So here are some things that I think that are 3 common things that we need to do if we're really going to make this alignment work. We need to know what that unique life purpose is. We really have to have a clear understanding of that. We need to master the art of intentional manifestation. And what I mean by that is we are always, all of us, manifesting, sometimes not intentionally, more often than not. And it's just part of how we're built. Our system, our mind, our subconscious mind, it's designed to do that work. We just need to be more intentional about it. And then we need to make sure that we're being guided and supported by an expert that knows the way, and then have a community around us that is in support of our new whole self. And that's important because, of course, if we, like they say, like the 5 people you spend most of your time around with, right? They're going to have an impact on how you show up. We just said it. They're going to have an impact. We want to make it an impact that is beneficial. We want to make it an impact that is supportive of you actually achieving your ultimate life. So some people ask me this, and I'm going to make this really quick. When we talk about what your unique life purpose is, I just want to, it says here, it's a combination of qualities, and it's the building block of what you're meant to do in this world. But I want to take just a second and pause and say, it's also different than passion. And people get that confused. And so they feel like, oh, I have all these passions, or people will say they're multi-passionate, right? And I'm like, great. Chances are underneath it, there is a through line, right? There's a baseline that is your purpose. And if there isn't, then sometimes that kind of chasing your passions feels like that whole idea of like running off and doing all these different objects or projects or things like that, and still coming back to feel like, I'm not really making this impact. So that's why there is a difference. And I like to let people know that, because people say, well, I'm really passionate about this thing, but I want to go deeper, one level deeper. Let's look at why you're passionate, right? What is the core value that you are fulfilling, back to fulfillment, with following and chasing this passion? And that's really going to be a key difference. It's like, what is that unique life purpose? And there's some ways that I help my clients, and I'll talk a little bit more in a minute about how I can help you figure that out if you don't know. But it is a key factor. I like to call it the cornerstone. From there, we can create anything you'd like. But once you know, it becomes an anchor in your life, and it helps you to make better decisions and allows you to be decisive and take action when opportunities come to you, because it's either going to be aligned with or not aligned with your purpose. And I'll tell you what, it's a huge time saver when you're out there in the world trying to make something happen, and if an opportunity comes, whether it's yours or not. Imagine all those windy roads you went down and they just dead-ended, right? If you could just know and say yes or no to the things as swiftly as possible, your life will be much more streamlined and much more in flow. And if you don't, the opposite happens. You can spend that, and I know people that have spent tens of thousands of dollars on courses or programs, and even in jobs that you spent years doing that aren't aligned with who you're meant to be. Now, that can really fill people with regret. And so that's another big reason. If you don't know what it is, You want to find out as quickly as possible so that you can realign yourself. And it doesn't mean that you have to change jobs like Tracy did. It just means that you need to know as you're showing up in the world that you're doing it with that purpose in mind. Now, when we talk about intentional manifestation, that's the next piece. And with that, the key is to deliberately choose the practice of training your subconscious mind to look for the things you want to have and make sure that those things are aligned, amazingly enough, to your purpose. It's like, how do we make our choices in life and how do we put our intention and energy into the things we do want to create? As we said before, how many of you have ever had, let me say this actually this way. Say yes in the comments, whether you're watching the replay or not, say yes in the comments if you have ever been late for something, gotten in your car and started driving away, and all you're thinking is, oh my God, I'm gonna be late, I'm gonna be late, I'm gonna be late, I'm gonna be late. And sure enough, as you're driving out of your driveway, somebody cuts you off, or the bridge is up, and then suddenly there's somebody in your spot. I mean, and one thing after the other happens, and you're like, see, I knew I was gonna be late. So funnily enough, that's intentional manifestation. It's an intentional manifestation because your subconscious mind is using its reticular activating system, which is a whole nother subject, to create, to bring to you what you're asking for, even though what you think is not being late, but you're focused on it and your intention is focused on it. So if that's ever happened to you before, say yes. You know that experience where you're going to be late and suddenly everything, you spill coffee on yourself, whatever it is, just kind of goes awry. If that's you, here's a real practical tip I'm going to tell you right now about intentional manifestation. As I said, your reticular activating system in your brain is always working. And whatever you put into it and whatever you focus on, it's going to seek out in the world outside of you. So if you find yourself in that state, and whether it's something like this or not, but this is a great example because lots of people have had this experience, say to yourself instead, first take a breath when you find yourself getting into that state, because it's just a state, and then say, okay, I'm going to be there in the perfect amount of time. I'm going to be in there in the perfect amount of time. And repeat that to yourself as you're getting ready, getting in the car, whatever, all the way until you get to where you're going. Now, here's what's going to happen. And you guys can come, you guys can follow me. You could send me messages back. Go, I tried that. It worked or it didn't work. It's fine. Just say car and I'll know what you're talking about. The funniest thing will happen, and I've seen it happen time and time again. Suddenly, the person you were going to meet will be late. They will have to cancel the meeting. They will, it will work itself out, but your brain will find ways to work with the universe and say, hey, guess what? We need to be there in the perfect time. And the perfect time is the perfect time, which is a whole nother story altogether. But that's a really great and quick tip because it works for anything. So whether it's I'm going to be there in the perfect time, or this thing will work out, or the right person will show up for my retreat, or I will find the right client to work with. All of these thoughts, when we replace them with the other, we're choosing to use our intentional manifestation in an artful way. And we're mastering that thought process. Of course, why is that important? Because it helps you create opportunities and it helps you to be in a magnetic state of receiving what you actually do want and turning away what you don't automatically. And if you don't, you might end up with those haphazard results where people are showing up and blocking your way, when you're getting angry customers, when people are disgruntled and you can't figure out why, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. But the beautiful thing is, at any point along the way, you can stop and participate in that intentional manifestation process and be really clear about what you do want to have happen. And I've seen clients have amazing, incredible results. People that have had, problems with clients, and then they're like, it's fine. And it just all works out. I've had clients that have had, one would say like legal troubles, like challenges. and they were all worked up about it, but we worked on just focusing on a best result. And the result that they ended up with was even better than they imagined. In fact, one client in particular, this person ended up was like going to sue them for this, basically a business transaction they were working on, and they knew they were in the right. And I said, stay with the fact that you know you're in the right, change how you're thinking about this. And in the end, that person actually had to pay their legal fees and pay them money. So it does allow us to be in what we kind of jokingly call for ourselves, like, I want to be in control. Well, great. Here, get rid of all the busyness, get really clear, be intentional about what you'd like to have happen, and then practice, practice, practice. And practice with things that are small at first, so you can really feel that it's working. All right. And then, of course, the last piece is important too, which is I put them together because I think that this matters. If you have someone and you're in a vacuum and you have someone that's like a guru that you're following and you're, just completely obsessed with, but you don't have the community to support you, and your community is against that, right? So whether it's a trainer or someone that you're working with as a coach or a mentor, if that's the only feedback you're getting, and you don't have a good community that supports you in growing, then that's not really going to be a good balance. So you really want somebody who's an expert that can guide you, that has the, is trusted advisor, who's got like-minded peers around them or around you, so that you guys can grow together, right? It's really important. It's a balance thing. So that you can have the supportive and inclusive community and an environment to grow your new thoughts that you're creating, to be more strong in your purpose, to have people reflect that back to you so that you can feel like, yeah, I've got this, and they can help you. If you don't have this and you're working on this life transformation without support or without a really strong guide, you can do it. It's going to take a lot longer, it's going to feel a lot lonelier. And sometimes that will chase us back to habits of looking outside of ourselves and chasing the next best thing. So those old patterns, here's the thing. I like to say this: life gets lifey. I want to know, Tracy, I'm going to stop this for a second. Have you ever had life get lifey on you while you're working on something or transferring?
All the time.
Like you think you're on it, you got it. You're like, I'm doing this. I'm going to, like, it's Sunday night. I'm going to start my diet on Monday morning. And then Monday morning, I didn't buy the thing, and that's it. It's over. Like, right. Or, whatever. My shoes are in the car and I was going to work out at home. These are the things that, like I say, life gets lifey. And when you have a really strong mentor or coach or guide, and you have a good community, you can lean on them, right? This is different than like they're going to hold you accountable. I don't particularly buy that, because we are only self-accountable.
Right.
What we are looking at here is we have reflection, like we have an environment in which being self-accountable is honored and held up. And people are like, you can do this. That's what you really want. The people that you want to have supporting you should be saying, you've got this, you can do this. So if you know that your ideas and your thoughts and your dreams are supported, then you can keep taking action. You can keep doing the work to make sure that you're staying on your own path. And that's really valuable to me too, to make people understand it really does take a village, as they say.
Yeah.
Support you, and to have a village that really is about and encouraging you in the way that you're meant to grow and show up in the world. So many clients of mine, especially when I was starting out, one of the things that saddened me was if people didn't have partners who believed in their ability to change. It was really a struggle for them to make a difference on their own if I was just working with them one-on-one. But when we brought the community aspect into the work that I do, and we met every week, they had a place, right? Where even if the people in their immediate circle at the time weren't supporting their changes, they knew they could show up and share their excitement for, maybe the 1 pound difference that they made in their, or, or the call that they made, or the speech that they gave. And it's like having that safe space, right? That is supportive, I think is such a key.
Absolutely, because change can be a lonely journey.
It is a singular journey, really, right? Because we're all so different.
Yeah.
And so if people are putting on you that, well, you can't do it, or, well, you've tried this before, what's different this time, that kind of environment can make it really hard. And so having a really core group that can share and support you, I think is key to making sure that you are moving towards the limitless life you're looking for. That's your mind and your health and your work that you're doing. That's the true balance of fulfillment, is to have that as part of who you are in your life. Do we have anybody that has any questions about what I've said so far?
Absolutely. Let me go and check. Let me go and check. If you have any questions for Lia, just pop them in the chat, in the Facebook group, Professional Women 40 Plus Getting Egg Free. That's where we are watching the chat. While we're waiting to see if anybody has any questions, and if you're watching on the replay, just type #replay. How can people work with you, Lia? How can people be in touch with you?
Great. Thank you so much for asking. Yeah, so we are looking at helping people in our community as well to look at this idea of limitless life. I have a program that I work with people on for that, but I want to invite you all as members of Tracy's community to join us, to share, and to receive some of the resources that we use to help people figure out what your purpose is, to find out what you might need to delete, delegate, or automate in your life so that you can be more balanced and aligned. So if you want to connect with me, I'm going to just pop this up on the screen because I know it's a little bit easier to see it there. But you can just give me a shout out here. Here are some things I would love you to do. Just send me a message, m.me/Lia.Dunlap, and let me know what would
a Facebook message, right? Just
Facebook message. Yes, thank you. Yes, if you type that in a Facebook direct message, let me know, like, what would you love? What's stopping you? What's possible if you get it? And when will you start? That to me is the fun one. When are you ready to do this? Any of those, if you answer any of those and send them to me and ask for a resource, I will get you into the group. I will point you in the right resource for whatever it is you've shared with me so that you can get the tools and the resources you need to stop shiny object and get on your path to a limitless life.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Let's have a look. I'm just watching the chat, just seeing, I'm having some problems seeing the Facebook chat. So if I'm not seeing your comments, then Lia and I will come back and check them all later. Thank you, Lia. That was phenomenal. I think perfect time of the year for people to be thinking about these things too, right? And we often have all these like big New Year's resolutions and changes that we want to make in January, but I think this September reset is an even better time to start. Would you agree?
I definitely agree. I think that we can really create some structures now so that we are already on our way when January comes, because oftentimes people in January, they're like, there's a lull that happens in November, December if you go that route, which then creates added pressure and anxiety and all those things that like, oh, I'm going to do this on January. But as I said just like a moment ago, like, when are you going to start? Because guess what? Now is the only time to start. Now, start today. Don't start on Sunday or Monday. Just start now. One thing, if you can do any of those 3 things that I was sharing with you, if you can be closer in understanding your purpose, if you can take one action towards, helping your own body and working with Tracy's programs, anything that you start now will give you momentum. And that's the key. Like starting now also helps us because it is a natural part, as you were saying, it's a natural change in the seasons, and there's a quieterness. That's a word, right? Quieting.
Now.
It is now. If it wasn't before, it is now. And so our minds and our bodies are starting to slow down and become thoughtful and internal. Yes. So taking advantage of that, like your mind is already focused on resourcing itself and looking at things. I used to call this is the harvest time, right? We're planting things. And so our systems are already kind of predetermined to want to plant seeds. So start now, because even if you only move the needle a little bit, you'll already have more momentum moving into January than a lot of other people who are just waiting for January to come.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today, Lia.
Oh my gosh,
please reach out to Lia in the Facebook DMs. You can just click on her profile pic or that me.me/Lia Dunlap. Reach out to Lia. And also, if we are not Facebook friends, if you are coming to my Crazy Strong Core workshop and you haven't received a link yet, then also just pop on my picture and send me a hello, and I will send you the link for that. Thank you, Lia. It's been wonderful, wonderful having you speak to my community. I hope you'll come again.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
And talk to us about more things, because you know what, this is like the age group of the women that we work with as well is really important, right? I like to call it this is our third age. It's our third reproductive age, right? And this is, you know, not to be morose, but this is like your curtain call, right? What are you going to do with the next 30, 40, 50 years of your life?
Absolutely. It's going to be our best act yet.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me, Tracy. What a wonderful opportunity to share this. And I'm so grateful for all of you that are watching the replay and watching us live. As Tracy said, I will come back. If you have any questions, shoot me a message, but I will come back and look through the messages and make sure I answer any questions.
Amazing. Thank you.